Welcome to IAS Net Study, and this is the ninth video in this ethics series, and we are discussing the second unit, attitude. In the last video, we had a discussion of functions of attitude, and we talked about relationship between thought and behavior. And now let's take up the next topic, that is attitude formation and attitude change. Uh, let's start with attitude formation. Once you understand this, it would be easier for you to connect with attitude change. So let's start with attitude formation. How exactly attitude formation happens? There are two ways: internal factors and external factors. So attitude formation is influenced by internal factors and external factors. Internal factors are my experience. I'm a person, so my experience, even my cognitions, my belief system, my values, all these things. So my personal things, internal things, these are one set of factors, internal things, they influence my attitude formation. Along with that, external factors, it is environment around me, so I acquire some of the attitudes from other people also. So internal factors and external factors, the same thing. Even if you look at the belief, if you look at the values, the factors responsible for values, belief, the same thing here also. Even for the attitude formation also, the religion, custom, rituals, uh, the social norms, all these things, economy, leadership, everything, you can connect it here also. The same thing here, I am making it very simple, as I'm marking it up as a internal factors and external factors. Here you can write the same thing. Whatever you written for belief system, same thing can be extended for values, the same thing can be extended to the attitude also. So here, personal thing and the attitudes we acquire from other people. How exactly attitudes are formed? Over the years, from the childhood, throughout the life, we are going to attitude formation happens. So it happens over the years, starting from the childhood. And how exactly the formation happens? Through internal factors and through the external factors. Now let's see some of the ways attitude formation happens in a human beings. We are going to talk about some of the terminologies, and these terminologies, they are linked to the attitude formation. And remember these terminologies, because whether it is attitude formation or attitude change, and further we have a discussion of persuasion, social influence, and cognitive dissonance. Even we have a discussion on these topics also. So understanding these certain terminologies, it is going to help you understanding those topics also. And even in the examination, and even for the solving case studies, these terminologies comes in handy to express what you think. And you, because of these terminologies, you can concise your answer, you can concise your expressing the content in the examination. So let's see the different forms, different ways of attitude formation. The first way is classical conditioning. What exactly the classical conditioning is? That here your attitude is formed through an subconscious or unconscious association, or there is an automatic factor here. Your attitude is formed automatically, and there is an unconscious association. See, this unconscious association, this is going to shape your likes, dislikes, social biases, and it is an unconscious association. I'll give you an example. There is a experiment, very famous experiment, Pavlov dog experiment. In this experiment, they used to feed the dog, and before feeding a dog, they used to ring a bell and they used to feed a dog. Down the line, after some time, what happens? As soon as bell has been rung, the dog starts salivating. Here, dog, it related food with the bell. So dog knows that as soon as the bell has been rung, I am going to get the food. There is an unconscious association, and it becomes an automatic thing. Nobody is forcing on anything, but there is an unconscious association, and there is a automatic association here. Here, in classical conditioning, a neutral stimulus will be there, and this neutral stimulus, it is going to pair with an emotion, or this neutral stimulus, this is going to add with the emotion giving stimulus. Then this is going to create an attitude here. The classical conditioning, usually we are going to learn a new attitude through the process of pairing. We are pairing something that is neutral stimulus with an emotion, and because of that, an attitude is formed. So classical conditioning. So here, The process is automatic. The process is unconscious association, and this unconscious association is going to develop my attitude towards an social object. My likes, dislikes, social bias, everything is decided through this unconscious association. So this is classical conditioning. And the second way of attitude formation is direct instruction. Direct instruction, as the name indicates, there is a direct instruction has been given, and by following this instruction, attitude is going to form. And in a simple way, our attitudes are formed by the instructions given by my parents or neighbors or my teachers. Here, whatever the instruction given by parents, teachers, neighbors, or the leaders, they this leads to formation of specific attitude. Your parents tell you not to smoke and drink, and this has a very significant impact, because they again and again they are telling that, sorry, smoking, it is very injurious to health. This is going to ruin your life, and drinking alcohol, again, this is going to impact your health. So again and again, all the social object, the social elements are telling you directly, they are giving instruction not to do it, not to do it. So you have developed a negative attitude has been formed, a negative attitude has been formed towards alcohol, towards smoking. So here you develop negative or positive attitude because of the direct instruction. So who is going to give these instructions? The people around you, especially the parents, the teachers, or your neighbors. So whoever have that influential thing on your life, if the instructions are given by them, you are going to receive it, and you're going to, if you are open to it, you are going to implement it. When you implement it, you're going to form a new attitude. So, and here everything is verbal. There is no confusion. In classical conditioning, what happens, there is a stimulus, the stimulus is linked to something else, but here everything is verbal, and there is direct clear communication is given to you, and you are going to follow the communication. Because of this, following this verbal direct communication, you are going to develop a attitude. The attitude is going to form. Here, since my parents are telling not to smoke, and I develop negative attitude towards smoking cigarette. And in a civil service, from a civil service perspective, and what is this direct instruction, where can you connect with that? The oath, you are going to take a oath. So that is a direct instruction, what to do and what not to do. And even during the training, they also, even in the training, they are going to tell you clearly what is right and what is wrong. There is a direct instruction, and there is a mentorship. Even those mentors are also going to act as a guiding factors here. So they are also going to tell you what is right and what is wrong. There is a clear direct instruction. So this is another way to form an attitude. And the third way of attitude formation is instrumental conditioning, or operate conditioning. In the instrumental conditioning, what happens here, the usage of rewards can be seen here. See, in last this thing, direct instruction, what is happening, that they're giving verbal communication and you are following it. But here there is a reward process. See, if I am a kid, usually you might have seen that, if usually parents tell that don't do this, don't do that. If a kid stop doing that, usually parents say that you are a good guy, you are a good girl, you didn't do that, don't do that. At the same time, if you do opposite, there will be punishment also, they are going to scold you. There is a instrumental condition, there is an instrument. And what is this instrument? This instrument is either punishment or reward. Because of this instrument, you are forming a attitude. See, you are scolding a child because of its behavior, then child is going to develop negative attitude towards that behavior. Child knows that my parents are going to scold me because of this attitude, so I'm not going to do this, I'm not going to do this again. So child is going to develop this negative attitude towards that activity. At the same time, if the uh, parents give the chocolate for doing something good, then child realize that, okay, this is the positive thing. So if I do this, my parents are happy and I am going to be rewarded with chocolate. So there is a prize and encouragement. So these positive things, it strengthens the attitude. If I scold my child for uh, doing something, some activity, then that attitude weakens eventually. So you can strengthen the attitude, you can weaken the attitude through the instrumental conditioning. In the classical conditioning, there is a neutral stimulus, there is an unconscious association. Here you are directly giving the rewards, you are directly giving that punishment. Because of that, you are changing the attitude, you are forming a new attitude, right? A child praised for sharing toys may develop positive attitude towards sharing. So there are siblings, and the child, if the child, kid or kid shares the toys with other siblings, then this is considered as a good attitude, and parents are going to praise or give a sense of encouragement. And this is make sure that this attitude is going to be strengthened in the kids know that my parents are happy for this activity of sharing. Then this particular attitude of sharing, this is going to be strengthened in the kid. So this is how it works, because there will be reward, they are happy, they are praising the kid, and they are saying that you are a good guy, you are a good girl, you are sharing your toys with your siblings. So this attitude is going to get strengthened. So by strengthening this attitude, the behavior also reinforces in that child. So attitude, the third way of attitude formation is operate conditioning, and the fourth way is observant learning. In the last way is operation instrumental conditioning or operational conditioning. In the operational conditioning, there is a punishment and reward, there is a factor, there is an instrument there. But in the observational learning, you start imitating, you start following others. So observational learning, as the name indicates, you observe someone and you start learning. This is exactly happens especially in your surroundings. So whether it's your parents or the neighbors, in a society you live, and you get influenced, or you there is you start observing people and you learn things from them. So your attitudes are formed by watching behavior of others, observing the consequences of those behaviors. So here my attitude is formed by observing you. You are doing something, and I continuously am observing your attitude, and I also start developing that particular attitude. My grandmother is doing puja every day, so every day I'm watching that, and eventually I start developing positive attitude towards doing puja. So observational learning. So this is different from classical conditioning. Here it is observational learning. There is no subconscious or automatic association here. Here I am observing and I am imbibing it, and there is no stimulus here. So I am observing and I am imbibing these characteristics. Let's see it from a organizational perspective, that you're working as a public servant, and if there is a senior and you start observing this senior, and you know that the senior has a very strong value system of integrity, empathy, compassion, and you realize that these attitude, and you realize the consequences are very positive, people respect this person, then you understand that there is a positive consequences of this attitude, the behavior is positive. Then you also start copying it. Then you develop positive attitude towards all these value system. So this is how the attitude formation happens. Observant learning, here you imbibe or you copy, you start imitating these things, and because of that, new attitude is going to be formed. So here, when a young civil servant sees a senior refusing undue favor, earning respect, she develops a positive attitude towards integrity. The example I talked about. Conversely, normalizing corruption through visible rewards breeds unethical attitude. In the same way, if someone is making money through unethical means, and the person life is very good and there are no legal and ethical consequences, then you think that is right, and everything is fine, there's no negative consequences, then you start accepting that also. So even positive attitude also can be formed, negative also be formed through the observational learning. And the next way is modeling. Modeling is similar to the observation learning. Here in model, what happens, you learn thing from a person you admire. You admire Virat Kohli, and whatever he says, you are going to follow. Whatever he does, you are going to follow. So you copy things from him. He starts working out. He becomes vegetarian or he becomes vegan. You also want to become a vegan. So here, what happens, in the last this thing, observational learning, you imbibe things, you copy the things, especially from the surrounding or your mentors, whatever it is like from a vicinity. Through a vicinity, you there is a significant influence. But here there is a person you admire, maybe from your surrounding, or movie star, cricket star, and because you admire this person, whatever the person does, that is also you are going to admire that activity also. You admire Virat Kohli, now you are admiring his workout routine, you are admiring his diet plans, everything along with that. Now you also start copying these things in your life. So here main difference is that the role model here. So this is what you pick your role model, copy their actions, not only their actions, their value system also. Their attitude becomes your attitude. That is how your attitude is formed. So there are five ways of attitude formation. The first is classical conditioning, the experiment of Pavlov dog, the bell before the foot. And the second is direct instruction. The direct instruction is given. Parents give direct instruction kid not to smoke. And the third is instrumental conditioning or operational conditioning. Here either they give rewards or punishment. Based on that you form your attitude. And then is observational learning. Observational learning is you copy things, especially from a person around you, people around you. You start imbibing, or you start replicating these things in your life. Through that attitude has been formed. And the fifth is modeling. Modeling, you admire a person and you implement the various factors, various their actions as well as the values in your life. Like Virat Kohli, he start working out and he starts a very strict vegan diet, and you also doing the same thing. So these are the five ways of attitude formation, right? So we talked about attitude formation. Now let's move ahead and let's talk about attitude change. See, if attitude can be formed, it can be changed also. A new attitude can be implemented also. So attitude once formed, it's of course it is difficult to change, but it is not impossible. Yes, you can change the attitude. You can form a new attitude altogether. But how do you change this attitude? The three model, the CAB model. Again, you have to go back to this CAB model: cognitive, affective, behavior. So you have to change the cognitive component. You have to change the affective component. You have to change the behavior component also. By doing this, you can go for a attitude change, right? Let's take an example and then I will give you the explanation. That would be easier for you. I told you that CAB model, right? If you want to change the attitude, then you have to change the cognitive component, affective component, and behavior component. Cognitive is that belief, sorry, belief and knowledge. Affective component, these are emotions. Behavior component, it is tendency to act, right? Take an example of smoking. Now your behavior, smoking is your behavior, and you have, your attitude is positive towards smoking. Now you want to change this behavior. In order to change this behavior, you have to change this attitude towards smoking a cigarette from positive attitude towards a negative attitude. Then now you want to change this attitude. How do you do this? How do you change this positive attitude into a negative attitude? By changing these three components: cognitive component, affective component, behavioral component. Cognitive component is what? Belief system, knowledge. In a simple, you must have seen this tobacco ads, like it causes cancer, and that especially the Mukesh, that 30 seconds or 1 minute video before the movie. So these kind of initiations, it's nothing but they're impacting your belief system. So they are directly impacting your cognition, your belief system, or the knowledge regarding smoking, the cigarette or tobacco consumption. So cognitive component, now a person is smoking, you want to change that attitude. First focus on the cognitive component. So give the basic details: what happens, how many people are dying, and what will be the health consequences if you consume tobacco or if you consume cigarettes in a longer run. So these knowledge has to be given. By giving this knowledge, it is going to question the belief system, right? So this is going to impact the cognitive component. Next comes affective component. Affective component is more of emotions and feeling. So if you go to a smoker and if you tell them that don't smoke cigarettes and it is going to cause a lot of health problems, eventually this will lead to the death or cancer, something like that, chances are very low that they are going to get impacted by these kind of words. How do you deal with that? You have to touch the emotional content of a person. Emotional content, what exactly matters to a person, especially for person from a lower strata of a society. Then the financial security or the family security matters a lot for them. If, since this person is the only financial strength or a earner in the family, then you can tell that, see, if you fall sick, something happens to you, who is going to take care of your parents, who is going to take care of your wife and children? Entire family is going to suffer because of this attitude. By doing this, by connecting emotionally, what exactly matters, which emotion you need to understand the person, that which emotion I have to play here. And you, by connecting that emotional aspect, by connecting that feeling aspect, you are going to alter the affective component. Once you alter the affective component, then comes behavioral component. This behavioral component, it means that behavior is a tendency to act. Now cognitive component has been impacted, affective component has been impacted, the thinking cognitive component is that person thinking, this has been impacted. Then the affective component, that somewhere the emotional aspect, you have to you told them that who is going to take care of your family, then the effective component of a person is also impacted. Now comes the third, behavioral component. Now behavioral component, in order to impact the behavioral component, you have to give an alternative. Especially when I'm about to smoke, I have that feel to urge the smoking, there is a behavioral pattern. Then what do I do? If I feel like smoking, you give the alternative that I am going to talk to a friend, or I am going to go for a walk, or I am going to eat a fruit, or I'm going to have a chai, something like that. So there is an alternative available in order to change this tendency, in order to change this behavior also. By impacting all the three components, cognitive, affective, and behavioral component, you can make an attitude change. So, you know, in the last discussion, we talked about attitude formation. Attitude has been formed. You have a positive attitude towards the smoking. Now you want to change this attitude. Now I want this person to leave this smoking of cigarettes. How do I do that? I have to focus on cognitive component, I have to focus on affective component, and I have to focus on behavioral component also as well. By doing this, I can focus on attitude change. So this is how attitude change happens. Attitude formation, there are 5 or 6 ways of attitude formation. And then for attitude change, focus on all the three aspects, the cognitive, affective, and behavioral. And let's see the ways to change the cognitive attitude. Sorry, not cognitive attitude, ways to change the attitude. First, we have a discussion of attitude formation. Now we are discussing attitude change. In each, in the last discussion, we talked about how exactly we can change the attitude by working on CAB model. Now let's see the ways to change this attitude. There are three important aspects you need to remember: social influence, persuasion, cognitive dissonance. All the three, we it is mentioned in your syllabus also. We are going to have a deeper discussion on these three aspects here. These three are the ways to change attitude. First is social influence. It means that my thoughts, my emotion, my behavior, my attitude can be changed by other person. So there is a social influence. Social is people around me, their influence is there on my attitude, on my behavior. So my attitude can be changed by other person. So that is social influence. And persuasion, here also I am going to change my attitude because of other person, but there is a logic behind it. So I change my attitude because I am convinced with the logic. Here there is no logic. In social influence, I convinced because the other person, my close friend has told me that, so I got changed, so I changed my attitude. The persuasion is that I changed my attitude because there is a convincing talk, because there is a rationality in whatever he is saying, because there is a logic behind whatever he is expressing. So that is persuasion. Social influence is one of the ways to change attitude. Persuasion is one of the ways to change attitude. Then cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance is that there is a conflicting thought. One side I want to smoke, another side I am very scared of the health aspect, so the health impact the smoking is going to cause. So there is a tussle going on between two thoughts. Now cognitive dissonance also, if I have a very strong attitude towards health, then I'm going to leave the smoking. So here also I can change my attitude if there is a cognitive dissonance. These are the three ways to change the attitude. Here one thing you have to focus, whether it is social influence or persuasion, mainly they are focusing on cognitive part. The cognitive, the first component, cognitive component. And the cognitive dissonance, it is like there is a tussle between smoking and the health. These two things, if my smoking has a strong, if smoking cigarette has a strong attitude, then that is going to survive. If my attitude towards health is very strong, then that is going to survive. If my attitude towards health, it has a strong presence, or if it's a strong attitude, then I am going to leave the smoking. So here main aspect here is that how strong attitude itself. Then again, operational conditioning, whatever we discussed in the attitude formation, the same thing, that same thing can be used for attitude change also. Operant conditional is that rewards and punishment. Even for the attitude formation, I form my attitude because my parents are giving me chocolate, so there is a reward. I change my attitude, my attitude is formed because my parents are scolding me. Because of that, I developed attitude. In a similar way, I can change my attitude also. So operational condition, reward and punishment, the same thing can be implemented for attitude change also. Here we are focusing on behavioral component. So persuasion, social influence, cognitive component, operational conditioning, behavioral component. Then one more, role modeling. The Virat Kohli example, what I talked about, that he is working out, I am also working out because I admire Virat Kohli. So role model here. Here there is a emotional connectivity, the second affective component, role model, because emotionally connected, I like this person, that's the reason I admire this person, that is the reason I am doing this. So your role model, this directly impacts the affective component. And experience, my personal, this is also affective component. Experience is that whatever I feel, I am going to do it. Again, it is related to emotions, it is related to the liking, all these things, my personal belief system. Again, social influence, we have talked about it. So attitude formation, five types. Attitude change also, five types. It includes social influence, persuasion. Again, there is an overlap of operational conditioning, there is an overlap of role modeling, and one more thing, experience here. So this covers this topic of attitude formation and attitude change. I think that would be sufficient. I'll see you guys in the next video. And the next video we are going to talk about social influence. Thank you so much. Subscribe to the channel. Have a good time.